This is Racer X with another video on the braking system for the Losi 1/4 scale Pro Moto MX dirt bike. Well, I ran it on a motorcycle track on Saturday morning and the bike worked great. Absolutely flawless in every way for my driving skills and what I prefer in suspension and braking. The bike took a good beating, and it was nice to beat on it because it's been looking too shiny in every video, and I know you guys will agree. It's not dirty enough, and it's still not dirty enough. But yes, okay. So I'm going to show you something on the front braking system that is a positive upgrade. We've been doing it for about 24 years, like I say in all my videos. I just decided to go ahead and redesign the system on the Pro Moto. If you look here, you can see there is a spring in between the cable mount and the caliper arm with a 2mm washer here, okay, and a 2mm washer here. So what you don't have to do anymore, and I strongly suggest you don't do in two different ways here, hopefully you understand me, is I took the coil spring from the back side here that, you know, hooks onto here and up here at the front on the back side. That is removed. I put an O-ring here to keep the dust and dirt from getting into my greased cam, okay, which I strongly suggest for you guys. And I'm just running the return spring. This is called the return spring for electric and nitro vehicles that have rod braking. Okay, that's the spring that goes in between the rods and the collars for your braking, especially on 1/8 scale nitro buggies. Okay, you're just gonna have to go up on the Google to one of your hobby stores on there, A-Main Hobbies I prefer, along with quite a few others, and get yourself a bag of these springs, okay? Like I said in my other video on this upgraded brake system, it's going to work with the upgraded brake system, and it will also work with the stock brake cable and brake system, but you must take out the coil spring. Let me explain why, okay? If you run the coil spring and then you run the return spring, the torque factor on your servo up in here, okay, is going to be very, very extreme, okay? And it's too much for the stock servo itself, and it will burn out the motor or knock the teeth off the gears in the servo. So you don't want to do that. Okay, you want to go either with the coil spring only, if you prefer that, or you can go with a return spring. Okay, now go ahead and pull on it. See that? Well, there's a little latency in the video, but okay, it works so much better. Okay, and this has got a lot more torque. As you can see, I'm pulling it down. A lot more torque with the return spring than it does with a coil spring. Some of you guys are going to probably want the coil spring because it's softer. Some of you might want it because it's harder. Now, getting to the other part of the braking, as I said in here, okay, you can't really see it. It's just kind of in there. And I'm probably going to do another video on how to set that whole thing up. But anyway, I went ahead and got a Power XL micro servo and put it in there. The Power XL micro servo is a side click servo for 3D pilots who fly 3D helicopters and RC. Okay, now you don't have to get the Power XL. You can look it up if you want to get it. The spline on it is humongous, so there's a lot of torque there and a lot of power, and the motor inside the Power XL is really big and strong. The gears on the Power XL are brass and steel with an aluminum spline. Okay, that's what the internals look like. Now, if you want to get into two other servos, I highly recommend a micro torque servo, which once again is a side click servo for 3D pilots. Okay, and you can get that at Heli Direct, or you can get a KST micro servo. They are both from the same company, just two different names and two different types of servo from the same company. Okay, so it's either Torque micro servo or KST micro servo. Okay, now these are side click servos. You don't need part numbers for it to get the right one, because they have the Torque has, if you get the cheaper Torque at $40, it has 97.5 ounces of torque. If you get the higher end Torque micro servo, it is $80 at 130 ounces of torque. So it just depends on how deep your pocket is on that servo. Okay, if you go to the KST, it's going to be $40 a servo at 97.5 ounces of torque. Okay, as far as the servo horns that come with the servos on both of them, you will get plastic composite servo horns, and you will get one aluminum servo horn. Depending on how you want your braking setup is which one you're going to use. Okay. The other thing you're going to get into to look for is what's called an easy connector, made by Great Plains, okay, or Sullivan. And the easy connector you want to get is one that has threads on the stud on the backside, so you can put a I think it's a 1 millimeter nut on the backside, and it comes with the 1 millimeter nuts and washers in the bag. Okay, then your cable will slide through it, and you will use their set screw or grep screw to lock down your cable. If you have trouble with that and the cable keeps pulling through, you will use what's called a lock collar. And let me see if I can find one for you guys in my box here, and I believe we can. Here we go. Let's get into my box of goodies here. All right. The collar will look like that. That's top view, side view. It's got a little set screw in it. Once again, it is made by Great Plains, and you're going to get the smallest one they make. Okay, so the hole is very small. Your cable will go through it. Once you pull your cable tight, you will go ahead and push the collar up and lock it down, and make sure that you put a little blue Loctite on the set screw in the collar. Okay, now you don't have to use the little black cable cam that Losi provides for their cable. You can either use it or not use it, or use both of these. So you'll figure it out once you get into it. I'm not going to get into a 1 hour video on how the whole thing goes and start putting it all together for you guys. All right, so anyway, that should help you out. Another thing for brake pads for your brake caliper, I strongly suggest you go to GPM directly to their website, or you can go to eBay and buy their brake pads. Those are the best brake pads for the bike, on top of the Losi ones, which are once again about equivalent on braking and pad. So they're both good. It's just one costs $7, the other one costs $19. Losi's $19 and GPM is $7. You can also get Trill's brake pads, but Trill's brake pads are made out of carbon fiber. For real racing, that's pretty much preferred in full scale. Okay, but for RC, it's not needed. What's going to happen is it's going to turn your brake disc all black and shiny, and you're not going to get the proper braking, because you need all the metal properties and composites in the brake pads, like a real mountain bike or motocross bike, which GPM has, and so does Losi. So both of those are much better for this application. Let's see, what else was I going to get into for you guys? I think that may do it. Tires work great. Just keep watching my videos for upgrades and all that stuff. One thing I want to let all you guys know that I should have let you know before. Okay, my setup is my setup, and that's how I prefer to run my bike for racing and supermoto and all that cool stuff. What works for me may not work for you, okay? So you're going to have to try it. If you like it, keep it. If you don't like it and you need to try something else, then try something else. There's a lot of other videos with a lot of other great guys that do a lot of modifications on the bike. So you might want to try a few different ones. But I've been doing this longer than anybody else on YouTube. You know, like I said, 24 years of pro racing on two wheels. So my stuff is pretty much 100% on everything that you see and hear on my YouTube channel. So you're pretty much good to go. One last thing, I will be coming out with DMR chest protectors here. Okay. And elbow guards and knee guards. These are leather, but the ones that I'll be putting out will be made. Sorry guys, it's early in the morning. In TPU. So, and then you can see these two I'll be coming out with. So there's quite a few products I'm going to be coming out with through my company, DMR Racing, and we've been around since 2009. We've been around a very long time. All our stuff is foolproof, so be looking out for some of that stuff. It'll probably go through eBay when I sell it, through a friend of mine, because I'm just too busy with movie production and other stuff to start a whole eBay account and start shipping out. So I'm going to see if he can do it for me. I'm pretty sure that he will. Okay, so as far as other 3D printing pieces, we already showed you this in one of my videos. I got new ones coming out in TPU, along with another material mix. Okay, so it has more flex to it, because this just seems to want to snap on a serious impact, and I want you guys to have a better setup on that, so it has a little bit of flex. This bike took a serious 10-roll beating down a motocross hill that was very rough, and it snapped one off, so I put another one on. But we're going to have better ones for you. Okay, and Burt Innovations is probably going to be using the same material to upgrade on the protector here, because this is from Burt Innovations. So we'll see what happens there. One last thing, I'm going to be coming out with rollers for supermoto and motocross. These are motocross. The supermotos will be cone shaped and not round, so you can get lower and faster on the bike, and we've already done testing on it, and it works 110%. The rollout is so much better, and these 3D printing balls last, I would say, probably 2 times to 3 times longer than the stock ones, and they are solid on the inside. Maybe you can see. See, they're solid on the inside. They don't have those little ribs and stuff on the inside. So that should help you guys out too. Anyway, this was a longer video than I wanted to make, but you guys are all set to go. Happy racing. Please be safe. You know, don't run into each other and break each other's ankle and all that crazy stuff when you're racing. All right. Till next time, Racer X, peace out.